What's up, freaks? This is just me, and today we're gonna be ranking the 8 mandatory poses of the Dutch beast Roelly Winklaar from worst to best. And we're gonna be considering the poses throughout the bodybuilder's whole career. So, if they were inconsistent in a pose, perhaps sometimes not hitting it well, or simply looking bad, the pose is gonna be lower on my list. Okay, that's clear. And a little introduction for Roelly. He's a current giant killer and a mass monster at the same time. He's known for his insane arms and delts, and he's placed as high as third at the Olympia in the past, so he's definitely a contender. Now, let's start ranking the mandatories, right? And we're starting off with the front lat spread as the weakest pose. Roelly doesn't fare well in this pose at all, because he's not suited for it, and the pose doesn't look right. His arms are too big and dominant for the front lat spread. They overshadow his lats, which should be the focal point, but they're barely even visible. Roelly's torso looks odd. The pecs and abs don't look very good at all. So this is a very weak pose. With no disrespect, of course, to the beast, he has awesome poses. Moving on to the second worst pose is the rear double biceps. Here I gotta give Roelly credit because his arms and delts and upper back look really good and massive, but actually that only makes his lower back look even weaker. Roelly's lats are too high for this pose to work, and he doesn't have great detail in the lower back in the spinal erectors, so his back looks very incomplete and pretty shallow. The lower body, most of the time from the rear, is not very impressive either. The glutes are too small and his legs don't present that well for some reason. They don't look very big. The hamstrings are world class though, but overall not a very good pose. But I think this pose, the lat spread, is a bit stronger of a pose for Roelly. His back looks much better in it than in the rear double. Now he looks really wide through the lats. Even though they have kind of an odd shape to them, they almost look like they're not supposed to be shaped like this. At least it's original and unique, I guess. Look at the wide columns for the traps. Really looks like a tank in the back department. The legs could still stand to be brought up a bit, but in my opinion, this pose is pretty solid. And in fifth, this is the Ebb and Thigh. It might seem a bit low of a placing because for a mass monster freak like Roelly, this pose looks amazing, but just wait to see the other poses we haven't seen yet. They're all top notch. Back to his Ebb and Thigh, the beast shows a good V-taper and a great six-pack. His abs are very separated and pretty well shaped too. He's nice and streamlined through the midsection and waistline too. The quads, not that they're weak, but they definitely are an area for improvement for Roelly Winklaar. However, if we look at the pose as a whole, it flows pretty well, and it's surprising how aesthetic and huge at the same time someone can look. So this is a good Ebb and Thigh in today's lineups. But if you ask me, the front double biceps is even a bit better because it also involves the arms, which are Roelly's biggest strong point. You can note how ridiculous they look in this pose. The triceps, biceps, and forearm combination has to be one of the best, if not the best, in bodybuilding history. Unreal how big his guns are, and also nicely separated too, not just big balloons. He's got a good V-taper too, and usually he does a good job keeping his midsection tight and flexed. Sometimes he even does a vacuum, or at least a semi-vacuum, which deserves to be lauded in the open division. The outline of the physique is quite godlike. Roelly looks like a superhero with those arms. His legs don't look that good, but they're not underdeveloped in my opinion. So the flow of the pose is just supreme. Okay, let's move on to the third place finisher now. That's the side triceps pose. Now that might also sound a little low because, as we are probably all aware at this point, Roy's got the best tricep horseshoe of all time. There's almost no doubt about it. His horseshoe is so meaty, it's so unbelievably big, even compared to his massive delts and biceps and forearms, which are also among the most muscular of any bodybuilder. And not only is his triceps so developed, it's also very separated and detailed. It jumps out at you, it's right there in your face. And given that I just praised the heck out of Roelly's arm, it might look inconsistent on my part to rate this pose only third, but I have two reasons for it. First, the rest of the body doesn't look nearly as mind-blowing as the triceps. Now, I'm not saying it looks bad, but certainly not the best. And reason number two is the execution. Roelly almost never hits a proper side tricep shot. I've seen him hit it a few times, but it's probably because of his midsection that he doesn't hit it. It might protrude, or it might just be too uncomfortable for Roelly to hold the pose. So that execution just doesn't work for him. This execution Roelly does is obviously not banned or anything, but it still remains the inferior way to hit a side try, at least to my mind, so I have to dock him for that. This is just not a standard side triceps. That remains as a fact, and it doesn't matter if I like it or not. But alright, let's stop rambling. Number 2 in my ranking is the side chest. This is such a powerful looking pose, fittingly for someone nicknamed the Beast. He looks absolutely massive and so incredibly thick from the side. This giant killer's chest is one of his weaker areas, but in this pose it still looks full and even a bit striated. What can I say about the traps, shoulders and arms? They're all among the most impressive of all time. The abs are in check and the lower body, it's at its strongest from the side by far. Look at the beautifully shaped calves and the unreal hamstring hang. The only nitpicky complaint I have, it certainly wouldn't hurt if Roelly turned a few more degrees to face the front. But admittedly, that's mostly personal preference. Some people like the side chest to be presented straight on from the side angle, so maybe this is the proper way after all, we don't know. Okay, and we go to number 1, and it's Roelly's trademark most muscular position. He fills this pose out supremely. The most muscular Roelly is most famous for is this kind of a hybrid between the crab and hands together. It's basically a more upright crab variation, and it also reminds me of a hands together most muscular. But he also does a standard crab that we can probably see more of on the screen, because this looks like a normal crab to me more than anything else, and he fills this pose out just as good as his trademark pose. He looks beast-like thanks to the development of his forearms, biceps, triceps, delts and traps, and also a good chest and torso. The only flaw I could find would be Roelly's not the most versatile in hitting the most muscular. He doesn't do a lot of different variations. I've never seen him hit a hands clasp or hands on hip most muscular. He just sticks with this one, but it works. That would be the only flaw, and possibly his lower body, which could use more size too. Okay guys, that's all for this one. Feel free to share your own ranking of Roelly's mandatories down in the comment section below. I was trying to be objective, but your opinion still might vary. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to watch some Roelly Winklaar videos and also like and subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your day.